Hey, how's it going? It just doesn't stop. Come across this video, like this guy. The channel is called Young Ripper 59. The title of the video is "Ha Ha, It's DOA, Dead on Arrival," and he's talking about. I don't know. He started off talking about some company, but he's mainly talking about the new Thor movie coming out, and it's more race swapping, gender swapping, sexual identity swapping, and it's like it's ridiculous. It's like, you know what? In order for black people to be good people, they don't have to take the place of a white person. How about black people have good new characters that are black? Well, why do they need to take the character of an already established white character to be good? It's like, it's ridiculous. It's insulting. It's degrading. It's like, oh, he's talking about Thor here, but what's another good example that might be a little more understood? Oh, no, okay. Oh, here's one. Is that Batman is pretty well known, and there's Batgirl. There's also Batwoman. Batwoman is a much older character. She came out because they started saying, oh, Batman and Robin are gay, you know, and so it's like, all right, well, here's Batwoman and Batgirl for Batman and Robin. And Batwoman just never kind of hit it off, and Batgirl managed to stick around for some reason. And Batgirl or Batwoman, she's had some different reincarnations. One of the things that has happened is that the original Batwoman like retired or got killed or something, Kate Kane or something like this, and became, I think, ended up Bruce Wayne's cousin, I think. But anyways, they put it on, I think it was CW, and they got this girl who was a lesbian to play the role, and then she ended up getting hurt, and then they replaced her with a black woman to be Batwoman, and I think she was like, the old Batgirl didn't die, or Batwoman didn't die. She just said, oh yeah, it's me, Kate Kane, or whatever name she was using, and just changed, didn't change anything with it. I thought I saw something. Just made her black. And he points this out all the time. This guy here, Young Ripper. It's like, what's just wrong with just having a new character? Let her be black. Let her be a part of the Bat family. You can do this. And just have her tell her own story. But why does she need to hijack this one? What, can black people not do this? Anyways, he's talking about this with Thor because it's got this girl, what's her name? Tessa Thompson. It's like, this is Anglo-Saxon mythology. It's all white people because it's, whenever it was Thor and Vikings and all that, it was just white people. That's all it was centered about. Just like there weren't Asians or anything like that, and vice versa. You go to those cultures, they're not going to have white people in it. It's like, so what? Who the hell cares? And they're also talking about how, what's her name again? Tessa Thompson is bisexual, and they're proud to have all this sexual representation. And it's like, nobody cares. It doesn't make a good story. How many times have you had a story and the hero saved the day because the person was queer guy, queer girl, and their sexuality saved the day? Never! What the hell are you talking about? That is not an interesting story. It's not a plot line. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. How does the sexuality of somebody, any of the characters, saves the day? And they lived happily ever after. Stop the villain. What the hell are you talking about? Don't worry, little Timmy took care of Thanos, and Thanos is done for. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? The reason why characters such as Batman or Thor or Iron Man, what makes them good characters, it's because of not only just what they say, but the actions that they put behind them. Spoilers if you haven't heard by now. It's like Tony Stark dies. He puts his life on the line. It's like he talked a big game and then he backed it up. Nothing to do with him being white or black or gay or straight. It's because this is what he believed in and he put his life on the line for it. And who can inspire to do that? Anybody. If you have something that's noble, that's honest and truthworthy and courageous, who can do those things? Anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, black or white, tall, thin, short, gay, bi, who the hell cares? Anyone can do those things. But it's the same damn problem. Well, my feelings. Oh, I don't feel like I'm being represented. It's like, yes, you are. Because you're a person and you're capable of doing these actions like everyone else. But the problem is you're a child. You don't want to put on your big adult britches and have to go do something. It's just either to say, I want to cry. I want to be a little baby. Boo-hoo-hoo. Oh, I want to be a man right now, or I want to be a woman. And I want it up there on the screen because it's me, 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 me. Do not talk to these stupid little children as if they're reasonable, rational adults. They are not. You treat them exactly as they act. And that is, they are children. Say, what makes your feelings so special from everyone else's, little Timmy, little Selah? It's like, nobody cares. That's not your mommy. That's not your daddy. You go home, run along there, little Jimmy, and you go talk to your mommy, get some milk and cookies, and you can talk to them all day, night long about your feelings. But nobody's going to elevate your feelings above everyone else, unless if you're a beta. If you're a beta male, if you're a beta female, if you're a toxic male, if you're a toxic female, it's like then, yeah, you will. And they're beta because they do not do what's right. They do things because, feelings. I don't give a damn about your feelings. Your feelings don't do any good. There's no utility in it at all. The movie where the people are willing to sacrifice their lives, that they're willing to stand up against oppression, where their actions speak for them, it's like those are good people. Those are good movies. Those are good stories. But it's all over the place. This woke culture of child behavior. It's like, no, you are not a woman because you decided to wear a dress and have boob implants. It's like, no, your X and Y chromosomes don't change. You do not have a uterus. You cannot produce a child. Just fed up with it. It's just all lies. And, it's not like I'm the only one. It's like there's plenty of other channels like this Young Ripper where he's talking about it. So if you ever get into an argument with anybody, and if they start talking about their feelings, if they want to start saying that I can't answer that because it's my feelings, then it's like, okay, well then why are your feelings more important than everyone else's? Well, why should we listen and pay special attention to your feelings versus these other people? What makes you so special, you arrogant, stuck-up prick? Because you know what my stance is? My stance is real simple. It's, I don't care. If that's what you want to do, go ahead, knock yourself out. But I'll be damned if you're going to shove it down my throat. I'm not shoving my way of my personal beliefs and feelings down your throat because, oh boy, howdy, I have them, and they contradict yours. But you're the only one pushing for legislation, from governments on federal and state and businesses to do all this stuff. And it's like, oh, it's not woke enough. It's not in the movies enough. I want to be respected. Or I want the 31 pronouns that they have in New York to be expanded. There needs to be 70 of them. It's like, shut up, little child. It's just, how about you present a solution and a real one instead of a pie in the sky kind of thing? It's like, no, what's something that's real that can be done? It's not going to be perfect, but will it make things better? Here's an example. It's that at some point in time, whenever all this gets bigger and starts going, I would like to go and buy some wasteland. And then we can populate it full of trees and plants and stuff because people do that today. Yeah, and so they do this all around the world. They're doing it in Egypt. With the Sahara Desert, they're doing it in China in a massive scale. They call it the Great Green Wall and the Great Yellow Snake. But here in the U.S. too, and this is in Texas, this is David Bamberger. He's one of the co-founders of Church's Chicken, and he bought 5,500 acres of wasteland, and he revitalized it. At least in part. I think there should be more to it, but I mean, good job.
Wall-to-wall brush. There wasn't any grass. There wasn't any water. Nobody wanted it.
It's like, that's cool. And so I'm going to fast forward all this, but what he ended up doing was that he bought all this land, and he, it was just all dried up. It was desert. And he came in with big equipment, just destroyed it all, brought in all of this, drilled some wells, and now there's lakes all over the place. And it's because the root system allowed the water to get down and entrenched, and then springs started popping up.
That condition, when I came here, all the little holes and all of that limestone were just as dry as one of them in here. Now what happened? We replaced that condition with this condition. 2.5 years after we began, the first spring came to life.
Spring came up. They weren't planning on that. They were just planting grasses and bushes and trees. And then what? A spring popped up? Not just one.
As we continued on, another spring showed up. We got up to where we had 11. All of that holes.
And so he talks about it on how it happened, and it's the roots and the grass and all of these plants that penetrate down into it, allows it to collect, and then it bubbles on up, and it comes. It's the way that every other spring happens. It's not like this is the only place where a spring has happened. And he talks about the government and how stupid the government is, because these big cities, they worry about their water, and they want to control it all, and they want to cry about it and talk about government intervention whenever it's like, no, you know what? There's all this wasteland out here where we can do the exact same thing.
Plus for all the families that live here, and even send water downstream to the city of Boston. What does it cost? I got governments and governments all around the world. They're spending millions and millions of dollars doing all kinds of things, dams and reservoirs and pipelines. All that's going to be done by God.
Yeah, screw the damn government. I'm so tired of this. Oh, we're going to cry. We're going to cry to the government. What the hell's the government going to do about it? What have they ever done about it? They don't do a damn thing. They just make things worse. They throw red tape all over the place, and they hinder progress. It's like, we need innovation. And it's not, you can't just snap your fingers and it's just going to happen. It's going to take time. But as long as we continue to work on the problem, at some point in time, chances are it's going to get solved one way or another. And you know what happens sometimes? Is that it happens by accident with something completely different. So they took care of the problem with horses shitting on the streets because cars were invented. It's like, so I would love to be able to do something like this. I don't want to hear about stupid people who want to cry about the climate change and all this stuff. It's like, well, what's your plan? It's like, well, what about this? So here's something to chew over. It's like, don't cry about this. You can help me with this. How can we get it so that people can make money and profit off of taking wasteland like this and getting some kind of money out of it? Because we can do it the opposite way. It's like, yeah, you can buy up land that has trees on it, cut it down, sell the trees. I have a couple of answers for it. They're not the best, but it's something but to give you an idea. One is that, you know what, you could go in, buy land, do what he did, and maybe leave a spot so you could have like a bed and breakfast or some kind of resort to go to where you can relax and unwind, or maybe have a place where you could set up a hunting lodge camp kind of place, and you could allow the hunters to go out. Because one of the problems is that whenever people move into the areas, that they kill all the predators, and it leaves after the carnivores have been killed, the herbivores just eat up everything. And so all the, especially the new little seedlings, are like really delicious for them. They're just eaten up like mad. And so the old stuff dies and the new stuff gets eaten, and it creates a wasteland. It's something that's been going on in China, especially since they also allow their ranchers and that deal with cattle and sheep and all that stuff, they let them roam freely. And they've just devastated everything, and they've helped out a little bit, saying that you can't do that anymore. It's not your land. It's not your property. You can't do that. You're going to have to feed them, feed like everybody else, everywhere else. And it's like, yeah, it's going to cost more than for steak and all that stuff, but it's like, well, at least everything's not getting destroyed in the process. They just had like this free range roaming stuff going on onto anybody's land or the government's land, so they put a stop to that. And so if you were to revitalize like what he did, you can't have big herbivores back in the area. You can if you're willing to allow people to take the place of the predators by being the hunters to keep their population down. Because normally what would happen is that the deer population would get big, so then the lions or coyotes, wolves or whatever would eat them and feed and get fat and populate and dwindle that down, and then they would starve, and then their population would go down. It's like, oh, there's not many of them, and then it would go back and forth, and it kept things in balance. Kind of this little circle of life thing, and kept things from getting out of control. But whenever you get rid of them, it's like, all right, so you either have to kill them off and put them in zoos to keep the species alive, or, I guess this is something we could take the place of. But the problem with those things is that, that would first require some kind of organization to go in and to do all this and then sell it and give it away or whatever. But what's to keep this from happening again, where, no, they just come in and then they wreck the land again? Because I've looked into this, and that a long time ago, there were quite a few trees and forests all over Texas and all over the U.S. You have to go back real far, though. I've seen pictures where it happened, and then they went through and they just chopped everything down. And then not too long after that, they discovered oil, and they didn't have the machinery and the practices that we do today. And it was just black all over the place. Everything was just dead. And, well, yeah, people know about Texas oil. We have it like mad. It's why the school in Austin is so well funded. It's because they own land that has oil to it. And it's like they're just massively rich, and they don't have to do government funding because they just own oil land. And now today, practices with logging, what they'll do is whenever they're cutting down in a forest, they will cut down strips in a forest. And while they're cutting down this strip, they'll go off to the sections, and they'll also gather up the trees that have fallen over. And then whenever they're done, they might plant a few, but because it's a strip, the other sides where the trees are still there, they get to reseed in the middle. And then they leave it alone for a while and let it grow up, and then they'll go back and they'll get those strips that they missed, and they'll go just back and forth from strip to strip. And so then that way it stays alive. But what would really be key is, well, what if we could incentivize anyone, anywhere, to be able to buy land and to do this, and there was a financial gain to it. I don't know if there's an answer. There may not be. But could you think of an answer for, okay, well, it will require a company or an organization or whatever to come in and to revitalize the land. What could you do with it then, besides a hunting lodge or some kind of a retreat resort kind of thing? Is there anything else? I would love to be able to do that. I would love to be able to tell all these crying children who want to go out and protest to the government, it's like, you've done nothing. You've done absolutely nothing. Just blow me, bite me, get the hell out of here. It's not easy. It's like, chances are you're not going to be able to think of anything. At least not now, but maybe later. If you've got an answer, I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comments section. I catch some of them every now and then. It'd be great. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Let's fix these problems. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.